Hey there. I recently listened to the Alex Hormozi and Tony Robbins interview, and I was stopped dead in my tracks as I heard Hormozi say some of the very same things and kind of have this very same like heart posture and life posture, I would say, that I myself have previously built a lot of my life and a lot of my greatest successes on. He shared life mottos like find a passion worth suffering for, or building a business is hard. Or he even took it as far as saying, like, F happiness, just find a way to be useful. And while all of those things, I know they were said with positive intent, what was brought to light by Mr. Tony Robbins is that those particular words, those mottos, those beliefs, that posture, they're the exact reason why Hormozy is sitting at a ceiling right now in his life and where he's finding himself kind of looking for a greater sense of fulfillment, but he's really struggling to find it. This episode is all about how much the whole conversation was hitting all too close to home. And I'm just going to put it all out there so that you can see if your own language, your own patterns, or even maybe like your positive intent beliefs, maybe they need a refreshing new upgrade, just like I know I do. I am an overly optimistic human being, okay? Anyone who's been in a room with me for all of 5 minutes can tell you that, like, I've got an energy and I just have this positive vibe that it's just infectious. And I love that about myself. So when I had a recent mentor just bring to my attention just how much of the language that I actually use, it's rooted from a place of pain and even like I'll say the word, but it's crazy to me, even that some of the language that I've been using is like rooted in negativity, that that was a really hard pill to swallow. And at first I was absolutely taken back and I just didn't understand. Like, was she sure she was talking about me? And then it hit me exactly what she was talking about. So, about 5, 6 years ago, I attended this Tony Robbins virtual, it was like a 3 day event. And he had put such an emphasis on the story that we all tell ourselves about our lives and how that really is what ends up getting played out. And so he suggested just to everybody that, like, hey, write down the story that you, write down the story that they, write down the story that you've been living with up to this point. Like, what's kind of like that life motto that each of us believed. And for me, I wrote down the words, I just don't want to struggle. And it's true. I had lived by those words for the last decade of my life because I had seen too many people that I love just struggling, struggling in their marriages, struggling in their jobs, struggling to pay bills, struggling to make friends, struggling to trust people, struggling to take a vacation. Like the struggle was real, is real. I am not downplaying it for anybody. And so I had just decided early on that I just didn't want that for my life. In fact, I was willing to do whatever we had to do in order to not struggle. Like I was willing to work hard. I was willing to go get the education. I was willing to carry multiple jobs. I was willing to do whatever it took so that my life was not one of struggle. And then Mr. Tony Robbins, he has us really like look at that life story that we had written down and just reflect on, is that really the life story that you want to define your next 10 years? And the more I looked at that phrase on the paper, the more I like felt it in my body that just simply avoiding struggle wasn't actually the same as like pursuing a life that felt like it was thriving. Not struggling is simply not drowning in the pool, but it sure as heck isn't like calmly backstroking and having a grand old time soaking up sunshine, right? I didn't want to just not struggle. And so I decided that the story and the life that I wanted to build for my next 10 years is that I want to thrive. And the importance of the whole story with that is just like the importance of the language that we use with ourselves. It's everything. It really does. It dictates our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our emotions. Say things like, I don't know how this day could get any worse. And then by golly, what ends up happening, right? You end up stubbing your toe on the corner, you end up running late, you spill your coffee, like the day actually does go down the crapper 10 times over again. Language matters. Okay, so now fast forward to this brand new podcast episode that Alex Hormozi, he releases. It's this interview with Tony Robbins, and Hormozi basically asks Robbins something along the lines of like, how do you see the dichotomy between duty and enjoyment as it relates to impact? Which, in my interpretation, basically, he's like asking, how do you find ways to continue to enjoy and find happiness along carrying the weight and the responsibility of these businesses that you've grown? And I will tell you, in the most like respectful ways, I felt like Robbins so kindly, right? His nature is to be very kind, but so kindly, like he bluntly, basically tells Hormozy that he's looking at it all wrong, and he gives this. I say this kid because I mean you're someone who's much more senior than you're someone who's still trying to figure it out. Really, he's got all of this excitement around what he's still building, but he's starting to feel that something's off. So you just see the senior giving this young buck a lesson, and I was so tied in. So if I think that no, I'm not. I know one of the reasons why I was so tied in is because, being brutally honest with myself, I felt like Robbins was giving me a wake up call too, like the same one that my mentor was bringing to light, that this foundation that I had built and was successful with up to this point, that quite frankly, it's just not serving me anymore, like to look like that. Like similar to how I think Robbins was picking up where Hormozy might have some growth too. uh, it just broke me open. So, okay, let me break this down. So Hormozy, if you don't know, so Hormozy, he's built an empire. He's like 36 years old. And if you have any interest in entrepreneurship, like you can't Google something about business and not at least have one of his videos come popping up. He is very direct, black and white, like, hey, life is gonna suck. It's gonna be hard, but if you push through, you'll build a life that actually matters, and you'll be doing what 99% of other people won't even try. So show up, suffer through it, stop your whining, just go do the dang work. Like that's his whole vibe, okay? Because that's what he's done, and that's what he's seen build his empire. So in the interview, Hormozy, he confesses that a long time ago, he actually didn't even think that happiness was something that he could have. So he created this life motto that was F happiness. And he just turned his attention, and his new motto was, I'll go be useful. So similar to my all I see is struggle. So I'll do whatever it takes. I just don't want to struggle motto. It was established with good intent. It was the foundational like anchor or propeller to an undeniable drive that, at least in my own life, like it made me the hardest worker in the room. It made me the one willing to put myself out there, to take the risk, to speak up, to to hustle, to grind, and like to make sure that I was actually going to have success in my life so I didn't struggle. Or in Hormozy's case, so that he was useful. Same grind, same, I'll say, stubborn drive, same, I'll do whatever it takes at whatever expense to myself to lock in on this goal and just go get it done. Obviously, okay, like I'm not claiming to be a Hormozy here. Like we've had very different results, and I'm sure you have too. But if you're a high achiever, especially if you're an overachiever, you have most likely adopted your own life motto too, that has helped you lock in and just get the things you want. But is that motto rooted from a place of like suffering and pain, or from a much greater place that will serve us well? And here's what I mean. So this is the part where this episode is going to get real intrusive, just like with Hormozi's episode where Robbins like begins to reveal how much that story, that motto, that perception of the world, like that, and that posture of his role in it, just how limiting it actually is for what is really possible for our lives, like beyond that first layer of success ceiling. And if you've been grinding because you thought that was the only way to success, then this message is absolutely for you too. The hustle, the grind, the pain, the weight of that duty or responsibility, it has a ceiling. And eventually you have this certain level of success in your life and you look around and you realize, I'm not really quite sure like this is any fun or this isn't enjoyable or this isn't as maybe fulfilling as I had hoped. Well, crap. Now what, right? And so it leads to this like place of curiosity where you're wondering, okay, well, how can I actually find enjoyment in the responsibility that I now carry? Hence Hormozi's question. So Robbins, he goes on to share with Hormozi that it's time to stop with all of the struggle and success only comes with pain crap because it's no longer serving him. And if he's going to actually make the kind of impact that Robbins knows Hormozi can make on this planet, that while his willpower alone has made him an unstoppable force, that willpower, that forcing things type of posture, it only goes so far. And if he really wants more, it's going to require him to pick up a new life motto, a new perspective, a new posture, new language. And so I've just got to say this again because selfishly, I know I need it most. Willpower is a beautiful strength and it will fuel your life to great heights. However, it will only go so far because eventually you get to a point where you no longer have the drive, the energy, the passion, or the desire to keep forcing it, to keep pushing your life forward. Like that lifelong push forward, eventually, if you're paying attention, it feels heavy. So Robbins, he talks about creating a pull motivation in your life. So instead of like this push where you're constantly like forcing it uphill and making things happen, you actually find something in your life that pulls you forward. So it pulls you out of bed. It pulls you in this undeniable way. It's not hard. It's like what you were innately made for. And that tapping into that will give you the constant endurance to like move forward in a way where you actually enjoy so fully this life that you have. Can you imagine? That sounds amazing. Yes, please. I want a side of that, not a side of like, hey, I can only have success if it comes from pain. So the changes in language then, right? They become, let's just break this down. So it's not a duty or a responsibility or an obligation. Instead, it's all contribution. So there is great joy in contribution because that's literally how we are all wired. And Robbins does a fantastic job of breaking this down, but it's like we want to contribute to society. We want to contribute to the people we love. That's not an obligation. That's contribution. So I know that's one language switch that I'm absolutely going to be making. Another one. So it's not hard or struggle. Instead, it's growth. And Robbins didn't say this specifically as far as the words, the switching of the words goes, but this was my interpretation, and it's what I'm personally going to be picking up. Like growth, growth. So Robbins did say this part that the growth is actually what makes you feel alive, because if you're not growing, you're dying, which, right, that's just fact. But switching out like that struggle piece, it's growth. It's not hard, it's growth. So Robbins goes on and he ends up bringing this thing full circle just by saying that when we are growing, then we have something to give. And when we give, then life actually has more meaning. Life has more meaning beyond this like level of success that we thought we had or these obligations, right? Beyond the numbers, beyond the milestones, beyond the things that we once defined as success. So, unpacking this all out loud with you, like my brain goes to a place of, okay, so, right, we all know, I talk about it all the time, like ask better questions, get better answers. So, what are the questions that I want to start pondering and asking myself? And the first one I'm going to say is like, what do I want my contribution to be? And I want to get really specific on what that means. And that specificity, that's something I've picked up from my mentor recently, Danelle Delgado. She's amazing. But sorry, that kind of got sidetracked there. So the questions that I know that I'm asking myself right now and that I'm pondering so that I can really get specific about my own language is, what do I want my contribution to be? Where do I want to grow the most? And what do I want to give the most? And I know in looking at those things, like what's my new life motto going to be? That's what I'm looking for right now. Like one that I can really put my stake in the ground on, and one that is going to serve me so well from a place of happiness and joy and is going to pull me forward. Robbins personally suggested to Hormozi to consider life mottos like, I deserve happiness, or I'm going to create happiness. One that I have kind of considered adopting is along the lines of like, I am creating the most joyful experience of my life, or I get to do this and it's going to be the thing that makes me feel so alive. So I'm also recognizing, the willpower part of me. It sure does like to come back in and it likes to try and lead this season of my life, because that's the part that has previously experienced success. But it also had that ceiling. And so now I get to create space for more joyful, lighter, softer pieces of me to lead. And I know that in that, I create more joy every day. Robin says, make enjoyment a priority. And that hit me so hard because I can't say that that has ever actually been my goal, but I would like it to be now. I would like to, and I want to. And so it's like new mottos or things that come to mind. It's like, hey, I prioritize enjoyment. I prioritize peace. I prioritize meaning. You see? Like maybe like me, you've lived this life mastering the science of achievement. And now there is a next level of yourself that wants to explore the art of fulfillment. Science of achievement, black, white, willpower, hustle, grind, push, push, push. It has a ceiling. Art of fulfillment, I'm learning, is more heart and soul led than brain led. And I've got to say, the more that I lean in, the more that Mr. Robbins is indeed correct. I am finding more growth. I'm finding more contribution, and I'm finding a meaning more pure and expansive and abundant for my life than I even knew possible. So that's my hope for all of us. And whether it's a mentor that is trying to wake you up and reframe what's possible for your life, or whether it's the Hormozi and Robbins podcast episode that you go take a peek at, or whether it was, I don't know, I guess my own self reflection here with you, like whether it was our time together, that's just helping you see how much like we can really change who we want to be and the life we want to create. And maybe it's all three. Maybe you are getting lucky enough. Like maybe you've got some guardian angels just like I do, where you are hearing and you are seeing this message coming at you from so many different angles that is undeniable that it is time for you to lean in and to start to explore your true possibilities too. Because if we change that one life motto, right? Just change one life motto with me and let's see how good it can get. I would love for you to share what your life motto is going to be, especially too, because like I said, I'm in this space where I'm contemplating what I want to put, what I want to lead with right now too. So if you would share it, Brittany, Brittney at BrittneyTalinci.com, or in the comments, like I want to see the way that we're going to change our language together and how much life just gets to expand from here. So let me know. And then, hey, one last request. First off, thank you for listening. But before you go, if you happen to host or attend events where they bring in guest speakers, I would love to contribute to that audience with a message about just how big our lives can get and how to actually have the courage to step into that and create change that matters. So please consider just referring or sharing info to info@BrittneyTalinci.com. I'll make sure that information is in the show notes as well. And just know I really do appreciate you. So, all right. Until next time, man, I love being here with you. So thank you for listening. All right. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.